As most of you know, in every county across the state, there exists an agency who is charged with monitoring potential child abuse in households and to remove children from abusive households. There have been a couple recent incidents that, at the polls, really call into question the entire system, and I think stimulated this audit request. And we're both going to talk a little bit about each of these cases, but there was one case, in Sacramento that most people would agree was a little too intrusive, and there was a case in Los Angeles that most people agree was way too lax. Both of these cases have left most people saying, I can't believe this could happen in America. You have a case, in Sacramento where a child was literally seized from her mother's arm or from his mother's arms for seeking a second medical opinion. And you have a case in Los Angeles County where sign after sign and case after case and example after example of horrific abuse was essentially ignored. And what that indicates to me is that we have to find the happy medium. We have to find the practices that are best practices that certainly certain counties have practices in place that work, and certainly certain counties have practices in place that can serve our children. But the question is, how did this happen? Why did this happen? And what can we do to make sure that it never happens again? And so that's why we brought this audit request to you. When we formulated this audit request, we wrestled with the same issues. We don't want to just draw attention to the bad practices. We actually want to learn from the good practices. We concluded, and I think it's accurate to say that even within counties, of course, there is a vastly disparate manner in which certain of these cases are handled. And we don't want the high-profile bad examples necessarily to besmirch the good workers in those counties who handle a case according to best practices, and where we don't have an outcome like the one we've seen. For example, Los Angeles is a very big county, and there have been many cases where a child has been failed by the system. Obviously with little Gabriel, I mean that clearly was an example of somebody where, without us up here in Sacramento telling people how to do our job, I think we can all conclude that the warning signs were ignored and that resulted in that young man's death. But there are caseworkers, there are social workers in Los Angeles County who do the job correctly and who do follow practices that work. And I would suspect that even if an audit focused on a county where there is a problem, the audit could still identify the positives within that county, because there's several thousand cases within a county, and I think as our auditor said, we are looking for best practices. We are looking for the examples where the system worked, where there was not a hideous overreach, and where there was not hideous laxity. And I think, we could identify that even within problematic counties. I would hope that even in the problematic counties, there are some examples of where the system did not fail, and that's what we could learn from.
Secretary, please call the roll.
Gray.
Aye.
Gray, aye. Ashadian.
Aye.
Ashadian, aye. Adkins. Adkins, aye. Donnelly.
Aye.
Donnelly, aye. Lowenthal.
Aye.
Lowenthal, aye. Mansour.
Aye.
Mansour, aye. Rendon.
Aye.
Rendon, aye. Bell.
Aye.
Bell, aye. Canella. Canella, aye. Desaunier. Desaunier, aye. Fuller. Galgiani. Galgiani, aye. Jackson. Jackson, aye. Laura.
Motion passes. And do we need a motion on the audit? One and the same. Okay, the audit is out and approved. Thank you for your testimony, Mr. Donnelly.
Thank you very
Mr.
much,
Gatto.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you.